Man, let me tell y'all something. A lot of times when you read these Supreme Court decisions, your eyes just sort of gloss over. But man, rarely do we get to see these justices duke it out. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, she wrote this here, and it may not be if we have the full control room, but she said the majority and concurring opinions rehearse this court's idealistic vision of racial equality from Brown forward with appropriate lament for past indiscretions. But the race-linked gaps that the law, aided by this court, previously founded and fostered, which indisputably define our present reality, are strangely absent and do not seem to matter. With let them eat cake obliviousness, today the majority pulls the ripcord and announces color blindness for all by legal fiat. But deeming race irrelevant in law does not make it so in life. And having so detached itself from this country's actual past and present experiences, the court has now been lured into interfering with the crucial work that UNC and other institutions of higher learning are doing to solve America's real-world problems. No one benefits from ignorance. Although formal race-linked legal barriers are gone, race still matters to the lived experiences of all Americans in innumerable ways. And today's ruling makes things worse, not better. The best that can be said of the majority's perspective is that it proceeds, parentheses, ostrich-like, from the hope that preventing consideration of race will end racism. But if that is its motivation, the majority proceeds in vain. If the colleges of this country are required to ignore a thing that matters, it will not just go away. It will take longer for racism to leave us. And ultimately, ignoring race just makes it matter more. Y'all, she was in the pocket today. Can you say Clarence Thomas was a little hot? Let me just read for you. Let me just read for you what John Roberts was so mad. Clarence couldn't fight his own fight, so John Roberts had to come defend him. He writes, that is a remarkable view of the judicial role, remarkably wrong, lost in the false pretense of judicial humility at the dissent espouses is a claim to power so radical, so destructive that it required a second founding to undo. Justice Harlan knew better. One of the dissent's decrees, in view of the Constitution, in the eye of the law, there is in this country no superior, dominant, ruling class of citizens. There is no caste here. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. That was the Plessy v. Ferguson decision. John Roberts literally used the Plessy dissent to try to slap down this black woman on the Supreme Court.
That's right. That's right.
Really? Really, y'all? Now let me find. So I got to read to y'all how clueless Clarence Thomas is. So check this out. He goes, yet Justice Jackson would replace the second founder's vision with an organizing principle based on race. In fact, on her view, almost all of life's outcomes may be so unhesitatingly ascribed to race. This is so, she writes, because of statistical disparities among different racial groups. Even if some whites have a lower household net worth than some blacks, what matters to Justice Jackson is that the average white household has more wealth than the average black household. By a long shot. Okay, that wasn't his opinion. This, he writes, y'all, this is what Clarence Thomas said. This lore is not and has never been true. Even in the segregated South where I grew up, individuals were not the sum of their skin color. Boy, bye. Then as now, not all disparities are based on race. Not all people are racist, and not all differences between individuals are ascribable to race. Put simply, the fate of abstract categories of wealth statistics is not the same as the fate of a given set of flesh and blood human beings. He's quoting Thomas Sowell. Worse still, Justice Jackson uses her broad observations about statistical relationships between race and select measures of health, wealth, and well-being to label all blacks as victims. No, she didn't. Her desire to do so is unfathomable to me. I cannot deny the great accomplishments of black Americans. Lord, now let me, while I'm looking for this, Greg, help me out here.
Yes, sir. What page you can
Judge Jackson,
page numbers on the PDF?
What page is you reading from? I don't have the page number up. No.
Okay,
what I'm looking for right now with Brown Jackson is when she made y'all. She said,
footnote 103. Footnote 103. I think what you look.
I'm just going to paraphrase it, Greg. When she said, "This boy's arguments are so stupid. I don't even have enough time to blow them out the water."
Yes.
She literally said his straw man arguments.
Yes. You look. I think you probably look at. I'm sure you are. In footnote 103 of her concurrence, I'm sorry, of her dissent, she destroys him. This is very important. And again, listen, y'all. Black Star Network, nowhere else. I just want to just pause here and make this observation, Roland. I know some of y'all think Rachel Maddow is brilliant. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I'm not sure. But what in the history of black news media, where have you seen a host read from Supreme Court opinion and dismantle it in black media? This ain't the hee ha ha reality television. This is a different thing going on right now. And I also want to thank you, Roland, by the way, because not only were we able to interview Corey Robin for the Black Table, we interviewed Professor Kermit Roosevelt at the University of Pennsylvania, who wrote a book on that second Reconstruction. Only on the Black Star Network are you going to get behind this noise to deal with what Ketanji Brown Jackson is dealing with. In footnote 103, what she says is Clarence Thomas made up an opinion in my name and then attacked it. So she says Justice Thomas's prolonged attack, ante at pages 49 to 55, responds to a dissent I did not write in order to assail an admissions program that is not the one UNC is prepping. She called that MF as chasing a pink elephant. She said, so what is the pink elephant? A pink elephant argument is when you say, don't think of a pink elephant, and all you can think of is pink elephants. She says Clarence Thomas made up a concept of race in his mind that he's obsessed with that doesn't exist in reality, and then he tried to make me up to attack me, and then she dismantles him. Clarence Thomas is sick. And Ketanji Brown Jackson was on him like Omar was on everybody in The Wire. She brought the pump shotgun for his ass. I think that's probably what I think maybe that footnote you're looking for. Footnote 103 is on page 20.
Oh no, right. I love this here, Reese. She says Justice Thomas ignites Justice Thomas ignites too many more straw men to list or fully extinguish here. The takeaway is that those who demand that no one think about race, quote, a classic pink elephant paradox, refuse to see, much less solve for, the elephant in the room, the race-linked disparities that continue to impede achievement of our great nation's full potential. Worse still, by insisting that obvious truths be ignored, that they prevent our problem-solving institutions from directly addressing the real import and impact of social racism and government-imposed racism, ante at 55, Thomas J. concurring, thereby deterring our collective progression toward becoming a society where race no longer matters. I mean, she was like, boy, you just offering straw man arguments that don't amount to nothing, and I just don't even have enough time to extinguish them here.
I mean, it's like, we all get into these arguments on social media with somebody who just don't know what the fuck they talking about. And it's just like, we aren't even in the same realm of the conversation. You are on some whole other shit that I don't even have time to properly respond to. But I just have to say, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. Fuck the founding farmers. This whole founding fathers, this whole notion that like, oh, we're going against the founding fathers. They own slaves. Fuck them. Fuck them and their stupid ass vision. This was not a race blind country. This was not equality for all country unless you buy into their notion that enslaved people are not in fact human beings. So it's absurd, and it's gaslighting how these white supremacist justice, including Justice Thomas, try to sit up there and act like they are showing deference to the notion of color blindness by invoking people that fucking did not see black people as human beings, let alone women as human beings. That's a whole nother story too. So I just think that we're having a discussion on the terms and with notions that were bullshit from the very beginning. And to carry them forward is just delusional, but it's intentional. It's working as designed. It's going to have the impact that they wanted to have. The only thing is there's going to be collateral damage with people that they typically wouldn't want to do harm to, which is not black people. It's the non-white and non-black people and the women who are white who have benefited greatly from the strides and from the kinds of protections that affirmative action has put in place. But let's all be clear. Black people still had to work 10 times as hard. I remember when I was applying for jobs, moving to the DMV, I took my race off of applications and I immediately started getting more calls back because I bought into the notion of diversity and equity. I'm black. That's going to help me. Shit. It sure the fuck didn't. As soon as they didn't know if I was a black girl, I got all the damn calls. And so we know as black people in this country, when we're going for a job, when we fill out those applications, if you check black, you definitely not getting ahead, despite what these white propagandists and racists have been trying to tell us and shove down our throat about how diversity and inclusion is disproportionately impacting us. It hasn't. So go to hell.
Lauren, Reese, she nails it. And look, we know it. And what's that fool, Vivek, whatever, he was running Republican.
Oh my God.
He ain't running for president. He did some video today talking about, there's no systemic racism. I'm like, fool, shut up. Reese made the point there. Yeah, colorblind studies have been done. Exact same resume, white sounding name, black sounding name. The white person got 50% more callbacks than the black person. So let's sit here and play this silly little game. We know what these cats are doing. This is where we got to learn to call it what it is. And I got to go ahead here and go there. Anybody who's watching me right now and anybody who's listening to me right now, if you chose to vote for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, you can kiss my black ass. Because all of those folks who got caught up in Bernie didn't get the nomination, I ain't vote for Hillary, guess what? That's how we got today's decision.
How about that?
And let me be perfectly clear, Hillary wasn't no perfect candidate. Ain't no perfect candidate. But I know she damn well was better and smarter than Trump. I know damn well she would have never appointed a Neil Gorsuch, a Brett Kavanaugh, a Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. And so, again, all y'all folk who commenting today on this decision, and if you kept your sorry ass at home, and if you didn't register, and if you did vote, and you voted for Trump over Hillary, kiss my ass. You sound like the dude, Latino dude, who used to clean, he used to do some yard stuff or whatever. I can't remember what he did. It clipped some inside. I don't know, my wife hired him. I don't know. And so, he was a big ass Trumper. Oh man, he loved him some Donald Trump. Until Donald Trump started deporting that ass. And when Donald Trump started going off on them damn immigrants and building the wall, it's amazing how his tone changed on his Facebook page. And guess what? That's why we use hashtag, we tried to tell you. So again, if you one of those folks who complaining after the fact, just like all them white women were whining outside the Supreme Court in the Dobbs decision, shut your ass up, because today is what happens when you do not vote. That's real. Lauren, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I do think about Robbie Mook today. I think about Robbie Mook a lot today because it is the moment created by Hillary Clinton losing. You know, the irony of this whole Clarence Thomas, Ketanji Brown Jackson boxing match that we saw that she really won in the first round is that you have Clarence Thomas arguing that somehow, you know, race shouldn't matter. And of course, so sort of disregarding history, disregarding everything that has to do with Black history. He just has this sort of contempt. It's kind of strange. It always sort of rears its head at these moments, and it's really strange. And the fact that he was so motivated by what she said, it's just an ultimate example of a hit dog hollering. But the ultimate irony of it is that the reason that he is on the U.S. Supreme Court is the very thing that he is arguing against. He, in fact, is a quota. It's not even affirmative action. Anybody who believes that he's qualified to be there is joking. I mean, this man never speaks. He never says anything. And then all of a sudden, when he does say something, what motivates him is something like this. It's usually race. And it's a shame. You know, I just cannot wait until he's gone. I cannot wait until he's off the court. He's exactly what a lot of these sort of racist right-wing Republicans love. They always find some black clown to sort of do their bidding, and they have found it in him. And he's dangerous. He's just dangerously stupid. And the reason that he was angry today is that he got smoked, and he got smoked red hot. And it's good to see because, you know, Sotomayor is the other big player in this game. Sotomayor really brings it. I don't think Kagan brings it as hard. And by the way, Kagan's the other one that's never had a black law clerk in history. We should recheck that. But at any rate, Ketanji is really, I know a lot, we heard a lot of stuff about Ketanji. Remember when she got nominated, she might be too conservative, she might be corporate, she went to Harvard, this and that. Well, she's showing up big time in these opinions because I can't wait to read the rest of it. But what I've already read shows me that this was a great pick. This was a great moment for President Biden.